tourism development, important factor for the economy. By Leon Qafzezi. Like any other country, Albania has significant tourist potential for both locals and foreign tourists. Our country offers a rugged, clean, interesting nature with a rich and diverse biodiversity, beaches with a long and very beautiful coastline. So dominates a Riviera with a Mediterranean climate. But there is also a lack of cultural heritage, which has gradually degenerated for complex reasons, but why not some malicious strategy to lose our reference values as a nation? Of course, the respective governments are responsible for these when these destructions, thefts or trafficking of our national values took place. But this will actually be addressed in a separate topic. But anyone, I can rightly ask, if there is a historical development of Albanian tourism. Of course yes. Before the 1920s, Albania was a tourist destination. Important in this respect were the baths of the city of Durrës and those of Pogradec, which were kept as cities favored from the point of view of climate, which included the city of Korça, Dite Mountain, Thethi and the spas of Elbasan and Kruja. It should not be forgotten that only in 1929 there were 13 tourist cities and 27 hotels, only 3 of them were located in Durrës. After World War II, the country chose the communist path. Tourism, like all Albanian life in general, became dependent on the ideology and isolationist policy of the country and its citizens. The predominant tourists in this period came anyway, but they were almost all, with some inconsiderable exceptions, from the countries of the former Eastern Communist bloc. The only hotel known and determined to receive these contingents of tourists who also enjoyed the status of friend of the socialist camp, was the Hotel Adriatic in Durrës, opened in 1958. And which at the time had international standards. It was the only hotel in Albania to receive foreign tourists until 1990, when the movements for democracy began. In the years after secession with the Soviet Union, 1961, and China, 1977, over 90% of these tourist contingents began to come from Western Europe, mainly French, Italian, Swedish, Austrian. However, because Albanian tourism was not considered by the authorities as an important economic factor, but as a propaganda factor, so more to know Albania was characterized by a relatively low number of tourists who came more driven by curiosity about how was an isolated place for almost 50 years. The number of tourists of that period did not exceed 2,500 to 10,000 visitors per year. But the state had another reason, which was the introduction of foreign currency in the country. But this was left to spontaneity and not a long-term profitable strategy, so it was characterized by limitations in quality and quantity. Surprisingly, self-organized trips were not allowed, but group tourists were preferred. These organized tourist groups usually combined beach holidays and visits to tourist cities such as Kruja, Berat, or forts with historical values. At that time, tourism was organized by the state tourism organization, Alturist, which was in fact a state monopoly. modeled on Soviet organizations and under the legal jurisdiction of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This ministry undertook to be responsible for all the limited aspects of tourism of that time, which included accommodation, related services, transportation, currency exchange, shopping in shops, guides, etc. Nowadays, when we currently have a many times more visible quality inflow of tourism, again the foreign tourist, despite the airport facilities, faces major shortcomings, which rightly deprive him of taste and reduce his curiosity. We always talk about an elite tourism, not only Albanian tourism, Kosovars, Macedonians, Montenegrins, but especially those who come from European community countries. The protection of the natural environment in Albania leaves much to be desired. Lack of infrastructure, lack of hotel associations, cleanliness is below the required level.